everybody, and welcome back once again. Here we are with another edition of Inside the Headset, Week 6, Game 7, and I'm with the head coach of the Oakland Patriots, Coach Thomas McDaniel. Coach, last Friday night came away with a victory, and now you're at 5-1, 6 games in the book, but kind of a different schedule, and I'll let you talk about that. But first, let's chat about Friday night. How'd it go?
I think all things considered, it was probably one of our better games. I don't know if that's, obviously I would like to assume that it's because we're playing, better football right now. Thought we were in a really good mindset getting off the bus. A lot of times you can tell a lot about your team just by their demeanor and their actions during the meal and warm-ups and stuff. And, all that indicated between the meal, riding over to Brentwood and warming up, getting off the bus, all that indicated that we were ready to play. And, that's a good feeling to be able to kind of have your finger on the pulse. It'd be one thing to feel that and then go out and lay an egg, and then that would tell me that I have no idea what I'm talking about. And sometimes, a lot of the time, that's the way I feel with this group. But for whatever reason, the other night, we were ready to go. Started fast, had a really good focus and mentality coming into the kickoff, and you could just tell that they were excited about getting ready to play. And we executed really well in all three phases. I think there are obviously a lot of things we took away from that game that we weren't happy with. Just kind of broad overview. We returned a punt for a touchdown. We returned an interception for a touchdown. I believe we had, 2 interceptions for touchdowns. We had 3 interceptions in the game. So anytime you got that many turnovers, but we also gave the ball away twice, which was not good. But to have 3 interceptions, 2 of them go back for touchdowns is huge. That doesn't happen very often. We had a punt return, and we did a nice job of executing on offense. We just didn't have the ball very much. I think second quarter we had 6 snaps. Some of that was due to the fact that we had a couple of defensive scores and a kick team score. So our defense was on the field a lot, but we were able to get off the field on third down or create turnovers. So a lot of positives still. Like I said, had 2 turnovers. Had a delay of game penalty one time that I didn't like. We had a block in the back one time. Some stupid penalties that we still got to get fixed. But we are getting those to be more minimal than what they were earlier in the year. And I think it was 42-0 at half. And when you can play a lot of young kids in the second half, obviously that's very, it's vital to building depth. But then also, just for your program in general, the overall morale, that's one of the, it doesn't happen very often, but that's one of the things about that 35-0 rule that I don't like. But anyway, got to play a lot of young kids in the second half. Disappointing thing is I think that's played 6 games. I think that's the 3rd time in those 6 games that we have been putting our second defense on the field with a shutout and giving up points with our second. We've given up 21 points in 3 games because our second defense, gave up touchdowns. Now, obviously, they're the seconds for a reason. I understand that. And as a whole, they're not going to be as strong as our first unit. We also had some games where, they've gone in there and they've done a great job, but we're too inconsistent with our backups right now. We got to get, some of that depth that's right there on the cusp of getting to play. We got to get that a little bit more honed in so that, we're not giving up those unnecessary points at the end of the game.
Where is this team as far as you played week 0, you played last Friday night? You talk about that growth and where it is. What kind of different shape or identity do you think this team has taken on, from then to now?
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question to answer, and that's probably not a good thing that I can't answer it. I would say we still lack leadership. We don't have that. We don't have that alpha male. I think it's a cultural problem with young men these days. They kind of, I don't know, they don't want to conform with authority. So they see authority as figures that are always telling them no or what they can't do. So therefore, if they've got to be the leader, they become the authority figure themselves, and they don't like that because they frown upon authority. And I'm not even talking about kids that are defiant. I'm just talking about the young men in general see authority as something that's telling them no when they want to do the opposite, and then when they get thrust in that role as a leader, they don't know how or when to tell everybody else to get in line, you know what I'm saying? So we don't have that alpha male. We don't have a leader right now that we can look at and say, that's the guy, that's the ringleader. He's the one that everybody's going to rally around. That's not good, I don't think. We lack that figure. We got a lot of guys that could do it, or we could do it collectively as a bunch of guys coming together and just saying, you know what, this is the way we're going to do it. But we don't have that one guy, and we don't have a collective group of guys that say, hey, y'all are going to follow us. So to me, that's not good. You know, we've played inconsistent football. I think, you know, as far as looking through the first 6 games, we've just not been consistent really in any. I think our kicking phase, the return phase has been very good. Kicking the ball, we've been inconsistent. Our punter's done a good job at times, and other times he's not been very good. Our kicker, John Ingram, has done some great things at times, and other times he's been very inconsistent. The return game itself has been very good. We talked about last week. I think a lot of the return game has to do with the fact of the people returning it more than what we're doing. So, you know, not that that's discouraging. We got guys that can do things with the ball. That's great, but that's, you know, that's been a bright spot for us. Defensively, you know, still the same thing. I think every time we've talked, there's been games where I say, well, started off fast, got in a lull, second half really woke up. You know, I don't know why that is either. And then offensively, inconsistency at quarterback, inconsistency with penalties, drive killers, whether it be delay of games or holding penalties, whatever. So, you know, some people say, oh, well, you're a Debbie Downer, or y'all are 5-1, man. You know, it could be a lot worse, and yeah, it could be. But, you know, if I'm trying to have a singular focus on getting better every day.
You have to prepare 4 games. People have to understand, we're just less than a month away. We're going to be in playoffs, and you can't lose any of those.
I mean, it's funny you say that, but I was in class there, I was thinking, man, it's October the 1st. So, I mean, literally, you know, 4.5 weeks from now, we're going to be starting playoff play. And that, to me, is that just shows you how fast this thing goes by. And, you know, we got to keep getting better. You know, the reality for us is, with the exception of probably, you know, 5 or 6 teams in the mid-state, at our level, there's nobody that can beat us. Now, I don't know about East or West. I'm just saying, in the mid-state, the I-65 corridor, whatever, the Wilson County, Sumner County, there's only 5 or 6 teams in this area that can beat us. I mean, you know, obviously, we've already lost to one of them. You know, I honestly think that if we don't continue to get better and we have a bad night against Riverdale, Riverdale will beat us. I think they're playing good enough, and I'm not looking down the road. I'm just saying, if we play up to our potential, there's very few teams that can beat us right now. But what are we going to do to continue to separate ourselves from the pack so that we can be great? And we have moments of greatness at practice. We have individual efforts at practice that are great, but it's too inconsistent. I mean, I continue to talk to our guys about, you know, what does your daily effort, your daily practice efforts look like? You know, if I just put a microscope on you, what does it look like? And are you doing everything within everything's so individualized, and that's just, again, socially something that we're not going to change. We can try to, but so we're not going to be able to. We got to create a culture of team and have a collective mentality, but there's still going to be individualism. That's not going, you know, we're not going to get away from that. But if it's about you and it's about you wanting to look the best you can look and play the best you can play, well, you individually have to practice with your best effort every day in order to play your best on Friday. It doesn't just happen. And I think you look at the professional level all the way down, you know, your greatest players are the ones that go about it the right way. I mean, you know, J.J. Watt got there for a reason. It wasn't just because, I mean, you know, he changed positions, changed schools, whatever. I mean, his story, everybody's journey is, you know, unique. And you can look at a Russell Wilson and look at the way he goes. I mean, whoever you want to pick out, but those guys that are ultra successful or ultra competitive, you know, the reason they have that success is because they work at it. It's not magic. And so we got a couple guys that are lazy, but it's very few and far between. I mean, we don't have many that don't come to work every day with the mentality that they're going to try to get better. And so that makes it fun at practice. They're an enjoyable group to be around because we, you know, we got a lot of talent, but at the same time, we got a lot of personality, and it's not, you know, it keeps you on your toes. It makes it fun, and it's also challenging. You know, there's, like I talked about last week, there's always a new opportunity for me to keep my head up and have to be focused on the daily task because there's somebody's going to do something that requires my attention. So, but I like it that way, and But overall, as far as locker room, just the culture of our locker room and the team chemistry, I think we've got good team chemistry. I just don't think that we've really wholesale thrown both feet in and said, you know what, this is about us. Individual stuff aside, this is about us coming together as a group. And until we do that, we won't be the best football team we can be.
You're going to be a little bit out of sync this week and then try to get back in sync through fall break next week. But how are you going to kind of play this thing out? Because you're off Friday night. So
yeah,
so you're kind of the oddball in the bunch, but at the same time, you really don't get a break, but you are getting a break, but yet you're going to be the only game in town next Friday night, and there is no school, but it's just, this is kind of a kooky thing, but, and hopefully the last time you get to do it, but.
Yeah, I mean, the negative being people can't, go on vacation, all right, and I understand that. I'd like to go on vacation as well, but, I mean, really, even when we didn't play on fall break, which, we've had to do the last couple of years, even when we didn't play on fall break, you still had to come in and practice during fall break.
You had a schedule.
Right. You can't say, okay, on that Friday, see you the following Monday. And
see you guys. Yeah.
Right. Actually the way
it's
it
in
works
1972.
Right. I mean, so you either had to practice a couple days early in the week, a couple days late in the week, and then you're going to have people miss because then they go out of town. And so really to me, the way that it works right now for us, even though I don't like the fall break schedule, it actually works out better because we're allowed to give them a little bit of a break. Like we give them off today till Monday, that gives them 6 days to really just get away from us, which I think is important. I think they need it. I think the coaches need to be away from the players. Coaches need to be away from the office. Players need to be away from the weight room. I mean, all of it.
Just recharge
just
those
decompress,
jets.
Get away. Because, Tuesday, we start back preparing for Baylor, and I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but that's, a different set of problems for us that we got to deal with. So, the last couple of years, this will be the 4th year in a row we've played on fall break, and it's, it is what it is. I don't like it. Hopefully after this year we won't have to. I don't want to schedule a game during fall break. I don't think anybody.
Has there been any positive? Have you seen something like after you've done it the first 3 times? The first year you didn't
I think,
or maybe you just mentioned it.
Yeah, the positive being that you actually get a little bit more consistent schedule. We had 2 really good days early of practice this week. They get a couple days, even though we're in school, they get a couple days to decompress and stay away from us after school.
Catch up on some schoolwork,
yeah.
Because the schedule's a little tight.
Yeah, I hope they're catching up on schoolwork. Or catch up on social media or whatever it is they're catching up on. But next week, we practice in the morning. By lunchtime, they're done for the rest of the day anyhow. So, I mean, honestly, the kids, unless they're a complete bum, they don't want to lay in bed all day anyway. So, we rarely have had problems getting kids to practice. It hardly is ever an issue. It's actually refreshing that week because earlier in the morning it's kind of cool. It's just kind of the start of fall. They don't have to sit in school all day, so they get here after they've eaten breakfast. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different environment for those few days, and
you get some more instructional, don't you?
Yeah, we can. We can get more instructional time. I won't monopolize their time too much though. We're going to try to keep as far as our time frame about the same, but again, at the end of the day, the advantage to me is that we actually get a little bit better consistency with staying on a routine while even giving them that long chunk. Like I said, they're off Wednesday to Monday, so they get 5 days away from us, and that's good for both ends. That we need it and they need it, and that way, hopefully, we come back on fall break, have a week to practice without having the school distractions and everything else. And then, like you said, kind of get ready for that, that season-ending push because we've got, 4 more games left, and before you know it, you're going to be in the playoffs, which is hard to believe. But once we're at this point, it's imminent future that we're going to be looking at the playoff, and every game's got implications, obviously, for that, where we get seeded, but what we can do is control the next day. So we're just going to, like I've been saying, we're going to continue to keep focusing on the daily effort, the little things that we can fix. I think really most of the pieces of the puzzle are in place for us. Quarterback, obviously, is the one that's still not, fully determined, but aside from that, everybody else is pretty much set in stone, and we've been, I think at this point, fairly lucky with the injuries and all that. So, We're just looking to, every day get better and hopefully, continue to play our best football. I think we took the step Friday that we needed to take, but we'll need to take another big step next Friday.
Well, we're going to see, and like you said, it's going to be a short time, in about 3 or 4 weeks, and then we're going to slide them out to see how everybody's going to play. But you're really going to find out where you're going to be in the maturity-wise. Let's wrap it up, but let's talk first in one last subject. How are you on the injury front?
We're pretty good, to be honest.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I want
we're pretty lucky
so
there.
you're going in, you get a chance to rest, but you're not trying to repair. It's not triage, so you're
No. We don't have a bunch of guys that just need a week off. I think for most of the guys, it's more about mentally recharging than just physically, So, but like I said, we got a tough game coming in with Baylor. I don't guess we'll meet next week.
Yeah, we might. I'll be around.
All right. Okay. So we won't go into Baylor yet then.
Well, let's don't, and then
okay, all right.
And then we can ask everybody to come back out, kind of plan. Those that are in town, you can still because October's going to be your home football game month.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about what game are you going to this week?
I'm thinking about going down to Laverne. I have not seen Laverne.
Who are they playing?
Blackman.
Playing Laverne, Blackman, and Laverne. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to go to the MTCS Moore County game. Yeah, I know it's not a district game, but I've never been to a game at MTCS and been in this county for many years. Coached at Moore County for a year, and it doesn't hurt that it's about a 4-minute walk from my house. So all those things, convenience and everything else, I think that's what I'll do.
Well, just be Friday night, be a family.
That's right.
And then you don't have any skin in the game.
Yeah.
We'll talk next week. I'll hook up with Coach McDaniel somehow, some way. So let's wrap it up. And his kids are off this Friday night. So everybody have a good Friday night and go find you another game.